Hey everyone, I'm Case Aiken, and well, it's been a minute since the last time I wrote one of these, but it's time I sang the song of the Bard, the perennial generalist. The Bard goes back to the early days of D&D and is the quintessential 5th party member. But I'll admit a bias in my approach to the class that is colored by my own entry into role-playing games by way of the Final Fantasy game series. Specifically, my perspective is shaped by the Red Mage. It's no secret that the Red Mage was inspired by the Bard. I mean, look at him. Look at him. Anyway, I fondly recall my first run through FF1 where I opted to forego a fighter/warrior in favor of a Red Mage as my tankiest party member. That Red Mage I named after me in that playthrough. I love playing a beefy generalist, and my entry to D&D through 3.5 supported this interpretation and was reinforced by Pathfinder. I still to this day regret not getting to run an Arcane Duelist Bard in Pathfinder. Anyway, the 5e Bard can be that, but it doesn't have to be, and that continues in 5.5. In the 2024 update to Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, the Bard has a lot going for it. For starters, it's a full caster now, something that has rubbed me wrong when I first saw it. It has great HP for a full caster, it gets an amazing array of skills, and robust class features by way of Bardic Inspiration. However, unlike a sorcerer or wizard, those class features don't build upon their spellcasting. Furthermore, the Bard's spell list, despite being broad, lacks some of the standout spells of other class lists. This stops mattering at a certain point, but it impacts the early levels. On that note, the big advancement for the Bard in the 2024 update is that Magical Secrets was completely reworked. Now, starting at 10th level, the Bard gains access to the Cleric, Druid, and Wizard spell lists, and can freely select from those lists. Incredible versatility. However, that change to the core class doesn't impact the various subclasses. While the lore Bard required some language changes since it referenced Magical Secrets before, the mechanics are otherwise similar and should mean seamless backwards compatibility to the old 5e subclasses. So let's look at the various Bard subclasses, and we'll start with those included in the new 2024 Player's Handbook, before comparing them with the entries that have yet to be updated. Bards are unique among the base classes in that they only get 3 levels worth of subclass features, and they are far apart. In 2014 and now, subclass features kick in at 3rd, 6th, and then 14th level. Fortunately, the Bard gets many goodies at those other levels to make the long wait bearable. So first up is the College of Dance, which is a new subclass to the 2024 edition. This is for anyone who took a capoeira class and dreamt of breakdance fighting. It's one of those subclasses that makes you go, well, obviously, because it should clearly just be, and just took a while to be made. I mean, there's precedent. 3rd edition had the Battle Dancer, which I was quite a fan of. This was basically a chaotic, charisma-based monk who could tumble to buff allies and hit harder. And on that note, I'll admit that I myself had homebrewed my own College of Dance Bard long ago, and it was pretty similar. I mean, a lot of this is just obvious stuff, but it had a scaling extra attack, and that was probably a bit overtuned. The official one, however, is not. It's frankly a little underpowered. So what does the College of Dance actually get? Well, 3rd level is exactly what it should be. Charisma to AC, Bardic Inspiration dice used for unarmed strikes, and a method to make additional attacks as part of spending Bardic Inspiration, which I think is very clever in its implementation. They also get advantage on performance checks that involve dance, which is basically a ribbon feature on a Bard, but still good. 3rd level is pretty much perfect, and if you're just dipping Bard from like a sorcerer or a very flamboyant paladin, it's a solid choice. 6th level is where the problems start. They get the ability to move half their speed as a reaction when an enemy ends their turn near them, at the cost of a Bardic Inspiration die, which of course triggers an attack. Okay, good skirmisher bit. They also get the ability to spend Bardic Inspiration to improve everyone's initiative. And that all sounds great, but what's missing? That's right, extra attack. Admittedly, it'd be a stacked level if it did get extra attack at this point. But that's the problem with Bards not getting anything else until 14th level. Look, I'm not asking for a Valor Bard's version of extra attack, which lets you cast a cantrip as part of the attack. I just think the fantasy of being a dance fighter is that you would have lots of little rapid strikes. A very bare bones extra attack would suffice here. 14th level is good, but probably a little late. It's a version of evasion that you can share with your allies who are right next to you. I kind of wish they held the initiative boosting feature from 6th level until 14th level, and then give an extra attack at 6. So that's the College of Dance. It's not bad, I mean, it's a bard. However, it is missing something, and that will be really apparent as the levels get higher. Moving on to the College of Glamour. This is your rockstar concept, or your extremely fae-themed bard. Originally introduced in Xanathar's Guide to Everything, it's been wildly retooled in the 2024 Player's Handbook. I found the 5e version underwhelming, but the 2024 version is much more straightforward and solid. Beguiling Magic now gives free preparations of Charm Person and Mirror Image, and a once per long rest rider effect when you cast an illusion or enchantment spell, which you definitely have prepared, and the rider effect can be restored with a use of Bardic Inspiration. They also get Mantle of Inspiration at 3rd level, which translates into a ton of temp HP in exchange for Bardic Inspiration dice. 6th level is a free casting of Command that invokes an alternate form and that can then freely cast Command as a bonus action. It's all very commanding. 14th level is yet another magical form, this time making you extremely hard to attack for 1 minute. This recharges on a short rest and costs a bonus action to activate. Glamour Bards have a strong 3rd level and decent 6th and 14th level features. I could see them as strong party support with buffs and control options. Next up is the College of Lore, which is often considered the most bardiest of bards. This is the bard that gets the most of the core bard abilities, only more so. Bards get a lot of proficiencies, while this bard gets even more proficiencies. Bards get extra spells known. This gets even more known. To that end, they get a whopping 3 bonus skill proficiencies at 3rd, along with Cutting Words, a versatile use for Bardic Inspiration, if not the most exciting. 6th level is access to 2 spells from the Cleric, Druid, or Wizard spell lists that get treated as Bard spells. And 14th level is a self-focused application of Bardic Inspiration dice that only gets expended should they turn a failure into a success. It helps push the Lore Bard into the mastery of all skills. The Lore Bard is well-rounded as far as bards go, one that nails the skill monkey aspect of the bard. It has the flexibility from its 6th level feature to make up for some of the offensive deficiencies of the bard, but nothing before that increases its capabilities. It's a bard, an extremely bardic bard. Next up is a bard that definitely scratches the itch to Gish, the College of Valor. This is the attempt at doing something kind of skaldic and is definitely the most red mage-like of the bards. It's a martial subclass stapled onto a support class. The Valor Bard definitely received some love in the 2024 PHB. It's a subclass that is worth taking into higher levels, but the level 3 features have always been strong, especially for a single class build. So what you would think are table stakes for a martial class, and I mean you would think, they get medium armor, martial weapons, and shields at level 3. Amazing on a single class build or a multi-class that only includes pure casters. Also at level 3, their Bardic Inspiration improves to also influence AC or damage. More versatility is always good, and this ensures that there's a use for every type of character and situation. 6th level was always extra attack, but in 2024, that improved to probably the 2nd best version of extra attack after the fighter's version, letting them cast a cantrip from any source in place of 1 attack. This, of course, combines remarkably well with the new True Strike, but really any attack cantrip will pair nicely with this. Lastly, at 14th level, they can make a weapon attack as a bonus action after casting a spell with the casting time of an action. This, at minimum, gives the bard a source of damage when casting leveled spells, but might trigger off the cantrip from the 6th level feature, in which case this feature is goddamn gold. The Valor Bard used to be the least exciting combination of martial and magic power, but with the improvement to extra attack, it is now a very dynamic Gish-in-a-can option for players. It is perhaps the most jacked Jack of all trades, and that delights me. So that concludes the player's handbook option for bards. All of these are improved, or at least updated, to be in line with the revised 2024 Bard. When looking at the options that weren't updated yet from 2014, they all look pretty solid without much alterations. Subclass features remain where they were in 2014 after all, coming in at 3rd, 6th, and then the big old jump to 14th. Everything from before should be pretty plug and play. The question is just how good it stacks up against the more updated options. So let's start our tour through the unupdated subclasses with the College of Creation. So this is kind of the pet class Bard, but it doesn't get that feature at 3rd. Instead, it gets Mote of Potential, which adds cool bonuses to existing uses of Bardic Inspiration. It also gets Song of Creation, which is kind of a ribbon, but will be clutch when it comes up. It lets the Bard create a mundane item when needed. Super practical, especially at low levels. 6th level is where the pet aspect kicks in with the animating performance. The Creation Bard brings something to life for 1 hour, and it gets assigned a generic stat block that scales with proficiency and Bard level. What's very sweet is that it takes a bonus action to command, but that can be part of giving out Bardic Inspiration, so it doesn't eat as much into your action economy as it would otherwise. It's a very potent pet feature, with the big limitations being the time restriction. 14th level is a minor upgrade to Song of Creation. Considering it was already a ribbon-ish feature, this is an underwhelming level for me. The College of Creation remains unique as a bard that can summon an ally to help as a class feature. Other bards can pick up a summon spell at higher levels, but none are baked into the class. A bummer of a 14th level doesn't diminish that. It's certainly worth playing with a unique style, and that makes sense that a bard from late in the edition's run would be pretty solid. The College of Creation hails from Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, which generally had good design decisions as long as they weren't about clerics. Next up is the College of Eloquence, coming from the classical-themed mythic odyssey of Theros and then reprinted in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. This one is objectively a host of good features and a theme I love, but I can't help but feel like it comes up lacking. The theme is incredible. A master orator is exactly what this classics major wanted. I never knew I needed a way to stat Cicero until this subclass, but now I can't imagine not having this as an option. That said, while the features it gets are good objectively, they don't wow me. Take 3rd level, for example. The big feature is Unsettling Words, which lets the Eloquence Bard deduct from a target's saving throw an amount equal to a roll of the Bardic Inspiration dice. This can be incredibly powerful with the right team configuration, or hell, the right spell selection, but it's limited to those big moments that may or may not work. The other feature, Silver Tongue, lets the bard never roll less than a 10 on any persuasion or deception rolls, and that's pretty nice. But that's it for 3rd level, and that feels like we're one more nice but not overwhelming feature away from a proper load. 6th level has the big feature on Unfailing Inspiration, where if an ally uses a Bardic Inspiration die and it doesn't work, then it doesn't get expended, which is very nice, makes them way more reliable. Then they get Universal Speech, which is what it says on the tin. Great, clutch when it comes in handy. See, like it's good, but not ridiculously impactful. It might not even come up, but it is good. It just drives me crazy because I feel like it's so close to being great, but it is just missing one decent to good feature that will make the subclass feel more impactful. Level 14 is Infectious Inspiration, which gives the rider effect on an ally successfully using a Bardic Inspiration die to spread inspiration to an ally. And that's all at odds with the level 3 Unsettling Words feature, by the way. So again, it's good, but it's not quite as substantial as I'd like. I'm sure with its ability to support a party, it could shine in the right circumstances, but I honestly don't know if the stars align enough that the subclass will feel all that rewarding. Next up is the College of Spirits, and here, level 3 is a lot. For starters, Guiding Whispers gives them a super ranged version of Guidance. Now, Guidance isn't as good in the 2024 Ruleset as it was in 2014, but it's still a good cantrip, and a buffed version is certainly appreciated. Spiritual Focus lets you use a spirit-themed spell focus to cast bard spells, and that improves 6th level to also give a d6 bonus damage or healing with your bard spells. Then the doozy. The College of Spirits gives you Tales from Beyond. The best way to think of this mechanic is something akin to wild magic sorcery, letting the bard roll on a table to invoke the spirit bound in a story that gives some kind of cool effect, be it a buff or an attack. 12 options in all, and they're all useful if not super potent. 6th level will probably be revised when the class sees updated print, as Spirit Session lets the bard learn any divination or necromancy spell, regardless of list, up to a level equal to the number of friends they have. Even if it gets restricted to the core 3 lists, it's still a pretty sweet feature. 14th level doubles your odds of getting a choice result on your spirits table. Standard odds improvement on a subclass built on randomness. The value of this seems less impactful when the abilities are across the board good and you have more control of when used compared to a wild magic sorcerer. The College of Spirits seems pretty sweet as far as a random style class goes. It doesn't quite stroke the optimizer in me due to that randomness, but it's certainly fun and flavorful. I haven't even really talked about the flavor. Again, you draw on the power of stories to utilize spiritual energy. It's super dope. Next up, hailing from Xanathar's Guide to Everything, we have the College of Swords. When it was introduced, it was widely seen as a soft reboot of the Valor Bard, but really it's more of a battle master, but a bard. The College of Swords goes back to 2E kits as a concept, a bard that lets their sword sing. To that end, it repurposes the Bardic Inspiration system to be a personal combat maneuver currency. There's a lot to like here, but spoiler for my overall analysis, I think the 2024 Valor Bard does better here. 3rd level starts off with bonus proficiencies, medium armor, scimitars, but no shields, plus the ability to use a weapon as a spell focus. And they get a choice of either the dueling or 2-weapon fighting styles. And they get Blade Flourish, which is that aforementioned maneuver system. Each Blade Flourish provides bonus damage on a weapon attack equal to a Bardic Inspiration die plus a Rider effect. It should be noted that those require a weapon attack, but does not specify a melee weapon. Too bad the 2024 Bard isn't as sneakily good an archer as the 2014 version was. 6th level is the table stakes but unexciting basic extra attack. In 2024, with Warlocks getting 3 attacks and Valor Bards getting a cantrip plus an attack, a simple 2-attack sequence barely is worth a mention. But it has to be here. 14th level was a groundbreaking feature when it was introduced, but now is mirrored by the Battlemaster Fighter. Unlimited flourishes that don't expend a Bardic Inspiration die. However, they come in at only a d6. This is an incredible boost to the subclass. The Swords Bard is a decent gish that utilizes everything about being a bard and then internalizes it. This is a bard that is going to want to buff itself. Its Bardic Inspiration gets used offensively. It's just very different from what the base bard is designed for. This subclass gets a lot better at higher levels when the bard's spell list opens up and flourishes become free. Prior to that, the Swords Bard is fine. Very good swashbuckler flavor, but it's been somewhat left behind by the improved gish options that we've gotten since. I don't know, I still like it. Lastly, we have another entry from Xanathar's Guide to Everything, the attempt at turning the bard into a rogue with really good spellcasting, the College of Whispers. This is another subclass that I have always had a soft spot for. I think the way it blurs the lines between classes is something I find very appealing. To that end, the Whispers Bard gets Psychic Blades, a sneak attack style damage spike that does better than any other Bardic Inspiration in terms of exchanging Bardic Inspiration die for damage. But it's still limited by being fueled by Bardic Inspiration dice, and doesn't scale quite as quickly as true sneak attack. They also get Words of Terror at level 3, which is a per short rest fear effect that requires a bit of setup but would be baller in an RP heavy environment. 6th level lets the Whispers Bard take the identity of anyone who just happens to die near them, with enough surface knowledge stolen that they can pass basic conversations. It's a creepy but fittingly glamorous way to be a stealth assassin. 14th level is a potentially useful charm effect based on obfuscation and lies. I don't think it will be all that helpful, but it's certainly on theme. And that's the Whisper's Bard. It gets to do some nicely roguish things, but could multi-class to be a very dynamic weapon user. I think it's neat, but I do understand why it underwhelms optimizers. The lack of a currency fixer at 14th level to make up for the fierce limits to their damage spiking psychic blades is disappointing. I do think that the new True Strike plays very nicely with this subclass. It'd almost be mandatory for players. Compared to other options, the Whisper Bard never was in the top ranks, and certainly doesn't measure up to any of the options from 2024. However, it does something different from those options, and that's potentially what a player is after. And that wraps up my thoughts on the Bard subclasses. I think Creation and Spirits remain powerful enough and unique from the newer offerings. Eloquence, Swords, and Whispers all feel a little underpowered, but unique enough. Anyway, next time, we're going to whittle down our remaining class offerings when we talk about the Druid. But until then, just roll with it.